So this is an important video for anyone living in Nigeria, driving a modern Peugeot car or interested in buying one. Um, because this is an abuse that goes on basically in all local uh, workshop. I would say Peugeot workshops in Nigeria. You see, I've almost every mechanic I've come across, no matter how good they are with their, or no matter how knowledgeable they are with mechanical work, they all do this. Well, I would say at least it's like a norm. Doesn't matter how many times I'll tell them not to stop doing that, they keep doing it. So it's better you know about it so that you be on the watch out and be on anybody's neck that will repair your vehicle or give your vehicle to repair for you. Now, this is about draining, trying to suck out fuel from the vehicle. Sometimes even it may not even be that they need to use the fuel on your own vehicle, but they need fuel to wash something or do something else, even without your permission. So they will look for a vehicle to pump out fuel from the tank. Unlike the days of 505, 504, you don't even need to do that. All you need is to put something and suck out the fuel because the way they design the fuel tank and the fuel delivery. But in this case, you have to do it with the ignition running because it's an electric pump. Unless you have to find the hose and put directly into the tank. Anyway, so what they do is this, because you need to switch on ignition to pump fuel, but then there is a design on this modern Peugeot cars that when you switch on ignition, it will only pump fuel for some seconds. As long as the engine is not running, it will pump fuel for a second just to build up pressure, then switches the fuel pump off. So in that case, those few seconds the fuel pump will run may not be able to bring out enough fuel that probably the mechanic need to do whatever he wants to do. So they now find it very lazy to go into the car to keep switching on ignition on and off as the pump is, as the vehicle components like the engine ECU or the fuse box BSM is powering the pump every few seconds on and off. They find it as is a waste of time or too lazy to do that. So this is what they do. They will get a container, disconnect the fuel supply line from the fuel tank to the engine. Disconnect that line or hose, depending on what you want to call it, but I call it fuel line. Disconnect the fuel line from the engine, put the fuel line inside the container, then switch on ignition. They will go and switch on ignition. Then they will come to one of the battery terminals. It could be the negative, it could be the positive, whichever one they want or easier for them to remove at that time. They will remove one of the terminals and then touching it every second. They will put it because like I said, when you switch on ignition, the fuel pump will run for a few seconds and then goes off. So what they will do is when they switch on ignition, when it runs for a few seconds, goes off. So then to switch off the ignition, switch it on again so that it will do the same thing. It keep pumping fuel gradually until it gets to the volume they need. What they will now do is they will go to the battery, disconnect the battery. When the fuel pump runs for some seconds and goes off, they will disconnect the battery terminal, connect it again, or just touch it on the battery without even plugging it in. so that it look like you disconnected the battery or you plug it. Remember, the ignition is still on. It's not like they will switch it off. So as you are connecting the battery, reconnecting the battery with ignition on, it look like you just switch on ignition again. So it will pump the fuel for some seconds again, then goes off. They will remove the battery terminal again, press it back again. It will do the same thing. And they can do it up to 10 times. They just keep doing it until you get to the volume of fuel they want or to in that container. Then they will now connect back the battery terminal properly. Now this is the danger. One of the things that kills BSI unit and the engine ECU is when your ignition key is on. No, in other words, when you leave your ignition, in fact, when you switch on ignition, leave it on, and you go and start playing with the ignition, what is it called? Battery terminal. In fact, you don't even need to switch on ignition. If your ignition key, that key you used in starting your vehicle, if it's slotted inside the ignition switch, even without turning on ignition, and you go to your battery terminal and remove it with it connected with the ignition, with the key still under ignition, you disconnect your battery terminal, there's very high chances that it's going to damage your BSI unit. People have experienced that. Most people who are probably, some people watching this video will also tell you that they probably have been a victim to this. It will damage your BSI unit. So the worst one now will be with your ignition. When ignition is on, it will now go beyond the BSI unit, straight to the engine ECU, no longer about the BSI. So it's like you are looking at either damage, your engine BSI unit will get damaged, or your engine ECU, or both. Because as you are doing that on and off, as you are doing it, it's producing spark on the battery terminal. So you are sending surge to your engine ECU and BSI unit. The way they program these things, you are not supposed to do that on modern Peugeot vehicles. The one thing I've observed is, most times it will happen right there. Sometimes it may do it, it won't happen, but then the harm has been done. Days, weeks, months, or it may not even be up to a year, or just whatever, a few years later, one day your BSI will pack up, or your engine ECU will pack up, and that will be the end. Because of one stupid thing someone did on this BSI, on the engine ECU in the past, via this type of crude a way of drawing fuel from the fuel tank, or an abusive way of trying to or playing with the vehicle electrical system in a very abusive manner. So like I said, basically every local Peugeot mechanic I've met does this. I'm not saying I'm not saying that every one mechanic does it, but I'm saying almost every one I've come across. What I now do is, of course they know me, Once I tell you, if you want to do it on other people's car, I don't care. As long as it's not on mine or any vehicle I bring to the two of us to work on together. Do it any other person, because I realize that it doesn't matter what I do. So I will threaten, I'll do everything. The next day you are probably there you will see it doing it on somebody's else car. So what will you do? It's just to them, you are what do you know? What you are talking about? You are wasting their time, or you don't even know. So the best thing is, be on a watch out on your own vehicle. Don't assume that, but the work you are giving him, or the work you are giving it to do on your vehicle does not require any fuel to be used. So you don't need to bother about telling him not to do it, even in your absence. But the point is, it may actually, just because your car maybe have more fuel than the other vehicle you need to use it for. So he will do it, suck the fuel from your own vehicle to use it in doing some whatever he needs to do on another person's vehicle. And you come and you take your vehicle, or you may come only to find out that your BSI or your engine issue has sparked up right there. Of course, he will claim it wasn't the cause because we are not there to see what happened. Some might even be there. They won't even know this, what they are doing is actually causing harm. They will stay there. Well, you could say it's not their fault because they didn't know. They thought that's the normal thing. That won't cause any harm to the vehicle. But I'm telling you now, you are killing your BSI and your engine ECU if you allow them to do that. And if you also the Peugeot car owner and you are doing it on your vehicle by yourself, it's even the worst. It's as if you are using your own hand to kill your own vehicle. The best way to do it, if you really need to draw out fuel from there, of course, you can easily just go and buy a fuel with a container at petrol station. But let's just assume you need it urgently, or you have so much enough fuel in your car, you don't need to go and buy just for maybe you need a liter of fuel to wash something or whatever. Get that container. You don't even need a second person to do it with. Get a container, bottle, or whatever you need to get that fuel from the vehicle. Disconnect the fuel line from the engine. Put in the fuel line inside the container. Just find a position inside the engine bay where the container will be able to sit without, falling out or stuff like that. Leave it there. Go into the engine, inside the vehicle, the cabin. Switch on ignition. The funny thing is, you will know. You don't even, because the way they did the fuel pump, you can actually hear the priming. When you switch on ignition, you have to listen. Remember, the fuel pump is just on the rear seat, under the rear seat. So if you pay attention, switch off all your radio. If you pay attention, you will hear that. You will hear the sound. You will hear it prime. Or just count few seconds, even if you don't hear it. Count few seconds, turn off the ignition, turn it on again. But I believe you are supposed to hear the pump priming. As you are doing that, on, off, on, don't do it like pam, 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 pam. Just wait for some seconds. Bam, off. You turn off the ignition. Wait for 2 seconds. Turn it on again. You will hear the pump. It will prime and stop for some seconds, maybe 5 seconds or thereabout, depending on the way the BSI is at. In fact, sometimes, depending on the vehicle, as you are even slotting in the ignition key inside into the ignition switch, your fuel pump will run. 407 does that, Z9 does that, and a few other, but your fuel pump will run for some seconds. So you realize that if you need a liter of fuel, you don't even need to do this on and off up to 5 times or so, and to get enough fuel you need. Switch off the ignition, remove your key, then go and connect back your fuel line back to the engine. Talking about the fuel supply line from the tank. That's the safest way of doing this. It's not even ideal, but I'm saying at least it's much better. Otherwise, go and buy fuel. But if you leave your car and or you go and do it yourself with this crude method of leaving your ignition on, disconnecting battery on and off, don't come tomorrow and start crying. How come your engine ECU pack up on a road or in a journey? You did it yourself. Or probably you didn't do. Somebody, it could be the previous user did it before you purchased the vehicle. And eventually, the ECU decided it was time to show whoever that using the car a lesson. These things are not good for the vehicle. These are sensitive electronic components. These are not 504 or 404. So, even if you are there or you won't be there when the mechanic is doing your repairs on your car, warn him. Always remember to warn him about this. Forget about trying to teach him. not to do it, that is bad for modern Peugeot car, you are wasting your time doing that. Majority of them will even make, see, just don't waste your energy. Focus on yours. Just tell him, do not ever do, threaten him no matter whatever you need to do. Insist on, go anywhere you need to go by telling him, don't ever make attempt on this kind of nonsense on your vehicle. This is one of the things people don't know that exists at the workshop, how people, these mechanics damage people ECUs and BSI unit. But I'm telling you guys now, avoid being a victim and stop doing it if you're actually doing it on your own vehicle, because you are going to live without consequences sooner than you expect. ECUs, look at my 505, how many years? This is a car produced in the 80s. The engine ECU is still in the vehicle. So this idea that ECU at some point is expected to fail. Yeah, it's not even a wearable pass. So usually when they fail, it means something that usually, they see the way they design ECU is completely different from every other electronics. If you start a car for like 10 minutes or thereabout, go and touch the engine ECU, you could see they will be very, very hot. So they are not designed to be fragile or something. So it takes a lot of surge or abuse to actually damage these things. Of course, nothing will last forever, but ECUs don't just pack up. So these are the things that affect them over time. Avoid doing these things to your vehicle. People keep complaining. For example, you say, oh, it's normal. For like people do say in Nigeria, it's normal for Peugeot 406 BSI unit to all of a sudden wipe out and loses its memory and the access code. So you have to put the access code back again. It's all this crap that causes most of these things. And then it becomes normal to them. I always tell people, once you have an electrician that tells you it's normal that your BSI unit is supposed to lose the key memory or the key program, then it's time to change. Look for somebody else, because that person is also contributing to some of this abuse being done in Nigerian Peugeot vehicles. So I hope this revelation makes sense to you. Don't let anybody abuse your car, and don't also do it yourself. But like I said, at the end of the day, you are the one to deal with that. Not just deal, you live with the consequences of what you've done on this car. There are people who you are using that same vehicle, you are complaining of, you are having issues with. Years after years, they hardly even visit workshops. They only do when there's a wear and tear, repairs need to be done. But all these issues people are complaining about every now and then, they are like, are you sure it's the same vehicle that I've been using for years that you are complaining of? So you need to ask yourself a question: why are your own case is different? Why are you having all this problem? Why other people don't even understand what you're talking about? Even when they are even started using the car even before you. Yet your own really a year, a few months, that weeks, even days, issues everywhere. All right, that's all.